the staunch person I am, I fled. Right around the block.
I would have pushed for her to go to Yale.
NCIS?
NCIS?
Cut off somebody's legs in
I was a
NCIS?
doctor, and I butchered people.
I deny everything. And I just said to them who had just left the stage that I love you all.
Yes, happy birthday, Mr. Bill Daniels.
Bill Daniels.
Amazing. Should we sing it?
I feel like we should.
Ready?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bill. Bill Daniels.
Bill.
Happy birthday to you.
I had a friend say to me recently, she had never seen the show, and she was like, she had seen a couple episodes. She's like, you always were either crying or about to cry. And I was like, oh, that's kind of true, isn't it? And so watching it, I mean, I think I was an emotional kid, and I think Shawn ended up, he gave me so much drama on that show. So yeah, I mean, I think I'm a pretty sensitive, emotional person, but I don't know if that, who shaped who? Like, was that Shawn becoming me or me becoming Shawn? We're kind of inseparable.
I feel that I really am Angela, and they just decided to write about how I kind of really am. So I think I kind of shaped her more than she shaped me. Clothes, style, everything was pretty much from the top of my head, and then they would write kind of, I felt, just mimic how I was, so.
Eric's a lot smarter than I am. So, yeah, that was tough. No, I think our personalities did start to, we always say that when you start a show, they write for you, and then as the show progresses, if you have the opportunity to have a show progress, then they really write for you. So they were kind of picking up our cadence, and I think shining a light, like Ryder was very emotional, I was a big, wacky kind of goofball. So they wrote to that a little more, and I think that's kind of, as Trina was saying, the line gets blurred between kind of you and your character at some point. So I don't know who shaped who, but they were fun. It was fun to play, so that's kind of all that mattered.
I always describe Topanga as like just living on the other side of my heart, that I'm not really sure where that line ends and begins. And I'm really fortunate, and I've felt fortunate for all 30 years to have played such like a character that meant so much to people. I think sometimes when I meet people and everybody is so nice, like we have the nicest fans.
That's true.
And I'll think to myself, man, how did we get so lucky? And then I think, what if I had played like a real evil character? People probably wouldn't like me as much. So I just feel very lucky that Topanga was who I got to play, because literally everyone I meet is lovely.
Did you become Mr. Feeny, or did Mr. Feeny become you? What do you think? I can answer it, but I want you to answer it.
I think Mr. Feeney became me.
Yeah, okay. Well,
She's like, that's not what I was gonna say.
I don't think that's true, because I think that from all the parts you've played and so forth, Mr. Feeny was probably your kind of senior, what is it, kind of a warming up part. It really, I think it did affect you, and it affected you by working with those children. They're no longer children, but they were children. And you became, in the part, you became you, but differently, more, not sweeter, but gentler, that's the word. He became much more gentler. And it affected you in life, too. It did. Okay?
I deny everything.
My experience is totally different because I really joined the cast so late. But so I have to talk about what all the various parts I've played, and there have been hundreds. And the thing that always amazes me is which things stand out. And why? Because I don't think of myself as a villain, but I'm a good villain. I'll do something, I'll say, oh my God, yeah, I cut off his legs, or I hit him with a bowling ball, or I...
Wait a minute. What did you do where you cut off somebody's legs?
I did.
In what?
It was in, what's that show Mark Harmon does?
NCIS? You cut off somebody's legs in NCIS?
I was a doctor, and I butchered people. Yeah, I was a doctor, and I butchered people. Yes! And
Googling that.
What I was doing is working hard on the accent. She came from a certain part of, I had to get just the right accent. So I'm not aware
bone saw.
when I'm doing things that, because I think I'm a nice person. And
You've never tried to cut off my legs.
no,
That's-
no, I would
nice.
never do. And like in Golden Girls, all of a sudden, there's a part, and I'm this terrible anti-Semitic person. So I go back and I look at these shows, and I look at them and I think, I don't think I was so terrible. I don't think I'm such a terrible villain.
You were lovely as the dean.
Huh?
You were lovely as the dean.
Yes. But even I was even tough on Ben's brother. Remember?
Yeah.
I was very tough on him.
Well, in that first draft, you cut off his legs.
It got
They
edited
were like,
out.
oh, this isn't very TGIF.
Let's go on to Bill.
I don't understand what a podcast is.
Yes.
For a
He doesn't
beginning.
understand Zoom
Bill,
either.
do you have a favorite episode of Boy Meets World?
There you go.
No.
Cool.
Yes, he did. He's lying. You're lying.
Am I?
Yeah.
Am I?
You like those last episode. That last episode was your favorite. The one
Oh,
he
yeah.
remembers the most.
Oh,
Yeah.
I suppose the one I remember the most was the last episode.
Yeah.
And they'd all, one by one, left the stage. And, the part I was playing could be rather hard-nosed and demanding. So I thought I wanted to speak my mind, and I just said to them who have just left the stage that I love you all. And that was one of my favorite moments in the show.
What I will say is, if Topanga were my own daughter, I would have pushed for her to go to Yale. The other thing I would say is that if I were Corey, or Corey's, someone who could influence Corey, I would say, if you are truly meant to be together, distance, time, her going to Yale will not stop that. You should encourage her to go to Yale. On the other side, I would like to say that nothing would have stopped Topanga from being successful. Whether she went to Pembroke, whether she went to Yale, whether she chose not to get a degree and to pursue something else. Topanga was always smart, and she was always going to make a success of herself, and for whatever definition of the word success that she chose to do. So I don't think Pembroke ended up holding Topanga back. And I also hesitate to say that if you don't go to Yale, your education is lesser than because you went somewhere else. So I see all the sides of it, and as I will watch the show and figure out all the intricacies of their relationship, I might have a more definitive answer later, but for now, I see from all angles.
I think that's a great answer, and I guess you have to
She
listen.
should have gone to Yale.
I had an experience that stays with me when I was walking down 8th Avenue in New York, and a school bus was emptying the students. And I was past them, but the students saw me, and they said, Feeny, Feeny.
The Feeny
It's the
call.
first time I saw that, I heard that, and the staunch person I am, I fled. Right around the block. But just ran away.
It scared him.
I couldn't handle it.
He couldn't.
You know, I never really came to realize that Mr. Feeny became such a kind of familiar figure to people.
Iconic.
And, you know, I think it's probably, well, I don't know. I don't want to go into an acting thing, but
Please do.
no, a good actor will try to bring as much of himself to the part that's on the written page, so that it will become real to an audience. And the actors who forget that don't do very well. And so that's what I did. And certainly with these wonderful people that I was working with, I brought myself to it as well as Mr. Feeny. And that seemed to work out okay.